up, right? Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
yeah. So to recap what I just did, right? So I just looked up nursing homes because it was part of the healthcare industry that you were talking about. And what I really care about is this primary GMB category. Yes, I know now it's called Google Business Profile or whatever. I'm still going to refer to it as GMB because I have for a decade now.
Same with me.
So this primary GMB category, or one or two of them, that's really what I'm looking for, because most of the time that's going to be what Google is calling it, right? That's their industry. So I might call it for instance, if I called it a nursing home and they call it an assisted living facility, I want to look for what they're calling it, right? So I just looked up assisted living facilities in Los Angeles at 30-mile radius. There's 20 of them. Let's just load 20 more. And then we'll go through this. So there are two tools that we have. There's the one you've seen, which is an expanded version of this. And then there's this one, which is a condensed version. The reason that I think the condensed version is going to be more applicable for you is because we are about to launch, like in the next week, the ability for you to white label this to clients yourself. And you would have the ability to give them. So, and the reason we do this, right? Like if you're targeting nursing homes for a staffing company, they don't really care about page speed metrics, right? Like they don't care about mobile page speed scores. They don't care if they have an SSL or not. They don't care about technical SEO audits or whatever. So all we've done is just hidden those fields up here. And it makes it much more relevant for what they're looking for. And so let me give you some examples. Like it's cool that we can call all these, but I'm going to get rid of some of these fields just so it gives us a little room. One thing that I like to pull in is the phone type, right? Because the phone type will tell me, I'll do these first three. The phone type will tell me what I can do with the phone number. And what I mean by that, all right, all three of these are voice over IPs. There are 4 types of phones in the United States. There is a landline, which the only thing I can do with a landline is call it, right? There is voice over IP, which allows me to call it and leave a voicemail, like a voicemail drop. That makes sense? Okay, so there are 2 versions of this tool that we have. There's the one that you've seen, which I'll go to as this loads, which is a very expanded version. It's to help digital marketers get new clients, new digital marketing clients. Does that make sense? Like it will allow you to go target people based on things like mobile page speed score, schema markup, have an SSL, that kind of stuff. It basically helps you look for things that they need help with digital marketing. Well, we're about to launch the ability for you to white label this thing and go direct to a client with it as your software. And because a staffing agency doesn't really care about things like desktop page speed, responsive or not, schema, that kind of stuff. Like they don't care if they're using Facebook pixels and Google ads remarketing tags. So what we've done, this is the one that's for digital marketing to get new clients, right? Well, what we've done is made a business to business version of that, where we just took out a lot of the stuff that's not applicable and it allows you to go direct to your client. Okay. The couple of things that we're looking for that are applicable to us, that they're also available in this one. So when you're reaching out, everything that we're about to show you, you can do in this one. This one actually does less. It's just a lot less confusing too for the client.
Yeah, for clients that don't need all that information.
Yeah, exactly. There's no sense in showing them what responsive tests are if they don't care if the person has a responsive website. So the first thing that I did was I pulled on these, and I'll do a couple more just so you can see it, is I'm getting the phone type. And the reason that I care about what the phone type is, in the United States, there's 4 different kinds. There's landlines, voice over IP, cell phones, and toll-free numbers. Okay. And a toll-free number is basically a voice over IP. They just also usually have like an incoming, like press 1 for sales type thing. The reason that's important is because it allows me to understand what I can do with that phone number. And high level, you've got the ability to do up to 3 different things with a phone number. You can call it, obviously. You can drop it into a power dialer. It works really well in high level to get an outbound list of calls. You can drop it a voicemail, or you can text it. So the only one that can receive a text message is a cell phone. A voice over IP you can both call it and voicemail drop it. And a landline, you can call it. Does that make sense? So the reason that becomes important, are you frozen again?
I was.
Okay. What was the part what was the last thing?
It's okay. It's okay. We can keep going. But the quick question on the power dialer, real quick, is that I assume we're just going to have to deal with the little interruptions here and there, unfortunately. But a quick question on the power dialer: Does Go High Level have one, or do I have to get like
Yeah.
Pixie or something?
Yeah, no, it's got one built into it.
That's awesome. Because what I'm
Yeah.
planning on doing is potentially getting a VA to just go down lists,
Totally.
just kick ass, you know?
Totally. I'm about to show you some workflow ideas that you can have where we actually hit them with cold introductions and then put them in a power dialer so that you can follow up and just say, hey, it's me again. I left you a voicemail. I shot you an email, a text, whatever. So cell phone, we can call it, voicemail drop it, or text it. Voice over IP, we can only call it or voicemail drop it. Landline, we can only call it. Okay. That's all that's important to know about that. So that's what this does. So if I had one that was like nursing, like a workflow that was nursing home outreach voicemail drop, then landlines, I wouldn't drop in there, right? I would just put those in a power dialer. That's basically all I'm doing is I'm seeing which ones I want to put into a power dialer.
Gotcha.
And then we have a do not call check, which is also helpful. I'll just do those top three, where basically it will check both the federal and the state that they are in, and it will see if they are on a do not call registry. None of these are. Let me see if any of these are. If so, it'll just pop up with big red and it'll say, yes, it's on like the state, whatever. And that would just tell me not to hit them with cold calls, text messages, voicemail drops, etc. Right? I would just hit them with emails. But that's kind of the idea there, right?
Yeah.
So phone type and do not call registration is one that I do like to check.
I like also domain age, honestly, for this, if that's part of the new simplified version, because honestly, it just will probably help to show established,
bingo. I don't really care about their domain. I'm really trying to see how old the company is.
Exactly. Yeah,
and so it does that check like 97. Cool, right?
That's one I want to go after. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. They're a very established business. Another thing you can use to see how established they are, we left some of the GMB stuff in there. So I like to see, I like to be able to see if they've got, if they got one review, okay, so they need some help with digital marketing anyway. But for like somebody that's got, none of these examples jump out at me, 73, that's an established business, right?
Yeah.
So if I check their domain, 73 reviews, which seems to be more than anybody else, and they're from 2018, they've got a pretty good business gig going, right? So that's just some ideas of what you can do with that.
No, I love it. Yeah, this sounds great. I think they're definitely going to be able to use this in some sequences. A big question I have is, just to clarify, because I think I know the answer to this, but when do you use the stars again? It's when you're
getting additional information.
Okay, so I don't use it upon the lookup, right?
Correct. Yeah. So if I said get the domain age, that would use a star, right? If I said get personal emails, that uses a star. In fact, let's do that. Let's see who we could contact. Well, so they've got personal emails. I don't like generic emails just because it's like the info at whatever their domain is. I prefer personal. So let's just grab a couple of these. Here's one thing to note, right? I just chose 4 of them. It's probably going to return a lot more than 4 email addresses. It's still only 4 stars. The credits, if you get 10,
that was one of the things I was wondering in that video. Yeah.
Cool. No, if you've got 12 personal emails that come back, if you've got 4, if you've got 15, it's still, when you hit get personal emails, it's just 1.
Cool.
So I'm going to say get personal emails, and it's going to start fetching them.
So up there is the if you do the select all kind of thing, they can those ones right there, get personal emails, get generic emails, get phone type, all that kind of stuff is applicable to all the selected ones.
Yep.
Whereas if you just did that next to it,
yep,
the get personal emails, it would be, okay, that makes sense.
So if I uncheck all, they disappear.
Gotcha.
See, those buttons aren't even there now until I start selecting some options.
Cool.
So they've got this for whatever reason, Pacific Senior Living.
John Doe's.
Yeah, they did some testing. It looks like Jackie Bobbitt is their VP of operations and Lillian is their executive director. Dope. So what I like to do a lot of times is I'll go onto their social media. Mm-hmm. I'll go on either their LinkedIn or their Facebook, and I'll see if we can pull those in. And so it'll pull in all applicable ones, right? Mm-hmm. So they've got Pacifica Senior Living and Pacifica Senior Home Care. So what I like to do is then I'll go into their LinkedIn page This is just part of my prospecting process. Again, this is really more of a scalpel, not a, not a
Yeah.
lawnmower blade.
Yeah.
This is not like one of those D7 things where you're just going to try to blast out to 100,000 people. I'm
Which
really
is not
trying
what
to
we
get to the
want.
right person. And
Yeah.
so what I would do is say, like I would go through here and look and see, who these people are. And let's say that I went through and I found the right person, the right, Jane Doe or whatever, since they've already used John Doe. If I know, check this out, the naming convention, that helps me a lot. So like, let's say that Jane Doe was in here, like, let's say she's the executive director, Vanessa Jewell. And it doesn't look like it found Vanessa Jewell. So this is a great example. I'll just create contact and I can try it based off of, sometimes we can actually grab their LinkedIn profile and scrape it.
Oh, okay, cool.
That one didn't scrape correctly, so that's okay. I know she's the executive director. So what I can do is I can say Vanessa Jewell is the executive director. Well, I know based on first initial last name that she's Vanessa Jewell at Pacifica Senior Living.com, right?
Yeah.
So I can just go add that contact and there's Vanessa Jewell. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So you can hit people like that all you want, right? And then Jesus, this one pulled back a ton of them.
My gosh.
Yeah, so there's your founder and CEO, vice president of public relations, chief marketing officer, senior vice president of architecture, director of resident care services. So you just ask them, like, if you were doing a demo with your client, that staffing company, and you said, would you like to talk to somebody at Belmont? Like, would that be a good lead for you? Yeah, it'd be a great lead. Get personal, bam. And they're like, holy shit, that's everybody in their company, right? Like that's a solid demo, right? Look at this. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So there's a lot of different ways that you can break this out and you can pick who you want to target. Okay. Now, what can you do with it? Well, I make this part of my demo, right? So what I'll do is I will basically create a new contact. What's a good email for you? What I'll do is I'll just create a new contact right there. Okay. Now I'll go all the way back up to this top one and I'll drop them in. I've got a demo for an insurance company, which is probably the closest to this.
Yeah.
I can add tags just like you can in high level. And if you want to do triggers, you can trigger workflows off of tags, but I'll just create contact and add to workflow. Okay.
With all, so any that you have selected.
Yeah, I can do that with all of them.
Or is it all at one time or what?
Yeah, it'll drop them all in there one
Oh, I
time.
just got the voicemail drop, I think, right?
Yeah, you just got a
Yeah,
voicemail drop. And in 1 minute, you're going to get a text message and then you're going to get an email. And if you're sitting there with a client and you show them this, I've yet to have one that wasn't like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it's a solid demo,
Yeah, for sure.
because you're showing them not only can I figure out who these people are, but then I can also reach out to them and contact them on your behalf. And so like for that demo, right? Let's take a look at my automation and see the steps of it.
I actually have a lot of people who can get on here. So do you have affiliate program or what?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yep, 30%.
Oh, that's cool.
30%
awesome.
recurring.
That's pretty recurring
So-
forever.
As long as they're a client, you get it.
Wow. Okay. I definitely want to check that out. If we could set that up today, that'd be great.
Yep. So here's my automations, right? And so my insurance demo outreach, assigned a user. In this case, it assigns it to me. You can obviously round robin it or whatever. I can send an internal notification to show them if you have the white labeled app for high level, it'll basically hit you with a notification saying you got a lead, whatever. It's got the cold voice.
That is amazing, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's a solid demo, dude.
Yeah, dude, that is incredible.
It's a solid demo.
I have a question. So, like even just seeing that, that's a really good like text, right? Even so with that, I mean, it just right there above the fold, when you open it, right, it has all the things it's needed. Do you recommend me just using some of these ones, or are they like for example, because I'm going to be doing two different types of things, right? I'm going to be doing the staffing one, and then I'm going to be doing one that's, that's for what we all do, which is trying to get marketing.
Digital marketing,
right?
yep. And
So
so I've got a
work?
bunch of them in a snapshot that are like cold email outreach. I like some of them. I don't like some of them.
Yeah.
It's totally, I like to tell people it's totally dependent on your like preferences and how you approach people. I'm a pretty like direct individual. And so I think a no is just as valuable as a yes, because I know not to ever spend money on that person again. Right? Like I'm never going to waste my effort on them. So I'm perfectly fine with calling somebody, getting straight to the point, and them saying, no, I'm never going to use you. Thank you. Click, get to the next one. Some people aren't like that. Some people want to slowly, nurture it or whatever. It's totally up to your style, and you can use as much of this as you want. You don't have to use any of it. You can obviously write your own, do your own workflows. But the other tactic that I would implore you to use would be go to your client. If you're going to use the B2B one, go to your client and ask them, do you have a stellar sales rep? First off, an established big company may already have a script on what they use to train people. In which case, I would take that script and I would make a workflow out of it. Maybe wordsmith it a little bit here and there for voicemails, but a lot of them will have that stuff already done. And if they don't, I'd ask to speak to the top 2 sales reps and tell them, hey, you just called me and I didn't answer. First off, who am I? What title of the company do I hold? Because that tells you who you want to start targeting, right? And then 2, I didn't answer, so leave me a voicemail. Let them rattle off their voicemail script. Now you're going to follow up with an email. What would you say in the email? Let them give you the email. And then that's how I start creating my workflow. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of them are already doing this. They just don't have a process that's nearly as automated as what you're going to give them.
Gotcha. Okay.
So anyway, this also add to manual call for follow-up. It's a super, super easy step in high level. Like if I just went in here and I said manual call, then what it's going to do is add them to a power dialer. So in power dialer, if I go into conversations and I set up manual actions, these are all people that are added. You see how you're added to the bottom. So if I were to hit let's start, it will literally start calling everybody on this
Power
list.
dialer. Yeah. I love power dialers. They're great.
Yeah. It starts hitting everybody. And then what happens is if you terminate the call, it'll actually tell you what kind of status do you want to give it. No answer. It gives you the option for voicemail drop. So if you've got a pre-recorded voicemail, you just hit voicemail drop. It'll automatically drop that pre-recorded voicemail and it'll dial the next person.
Right.